Part 4, summer series, all the everything
Mm.
podcast. We are back in the studio.
Woo-hoo!
Tim, what is going on, my man?
So much has been going on. It's been so we've said before that we were pre-recording a bunch like
Yes.
forever ago. So we did have some, but this is the first time we're back like recording like live together in a while. So
Yeah,
a lot has happened, and
a
since
lot
I've
has
been
happened.
gone, or you've been
Yeah.
gone, I've been gone.
Mhm.
So Leslie and I, we got away for a week in Sandals in St. Vincent. And that was great because we really needed to disconnect a little bit. We did some work, but not too much work. And
Sure.
man, in St. Vincent Sandals is Billy. It's next level, man.
Man,
It's next level, dude.
I want to
It's
go.
so bad. I know. I want you to be able to go too because
Yeah,
we were there back at the end of March and
right.
the beginning of April for a business thing, and I was like, how do we get back here just so like we can have a vacay here?
Mhm.
So we drank a lot, ate a lot, maybe drank too much, maybe ate too much. But
Vacation.
what was cool about the room we got, they gave us an upgrade to club level, but they have these rooms that are either workout rooms where you have this massive, like 100-foot screen TV, flat screen.
Oh,
But in the
wow.
workout rooms, they actually have like a what's the bikes called? The
Peloton?
Pelotons. They have
Yeah.
Pelotons in there. They have weights in there, yoga blocks, mats, all that stuff. When we toured, we saw that. I was like, it was cool. But what we got was it's the same exact layout, but instead of workout stuff in there, there's this big, huge, deep, like massive couch that you sink back on, and it's a media room. They got the
Oh,
sound bar,
nice.
and you still have the massive, like 100-inch screen TV. So
Uh-huh.
every night we would hook up the Roku in that room, and we'd have a movie night, kill all the
Yeah.
lights, order some room service, and that was our fun time every single night after we'd been outside in the sun all day. So
Oh,
that was
man.
that was so much fun. We played pickleball when we were there. Pickleball in St. Vincent's like in paradise, just surrounded by like lush green mountains everywhere.
Nice.
Now, granted, it is hot as heck,
Oh, I
um,
bet.
so you can only play so long with before you're like, I need some water before I pass out.
Right.
But anyhow, we had a great time there. After we came back, I was home like a couple days. We got to celebrate. We got to go see Savannah Bananas.
Yes, you did.
I did that for Leslie for her birthday because her big thing was, listen, don't buy me a bunch of crap. I want some experience type thing. So I was looking
Sure.
around. I was like, oh, we can get tickets to this. So I got some really cool like club seats for us, and it was me, Leslie, Luke, and Lauren. So we don't get to do things as a family of 4 all the time anymore,
Oh,
as the kids are getting older. But have you ever been to Savannah Bananas?
I have not. I wanted to go last time they were in Birmingham, but those
Yeah,
tickets were so hard. And that was just a small minor league stadium. They're selling out football
selling out
stadiums now.
everywhere.
Because
Yeah.
y'all were at where the Bengals play, right?
No, we were at where the Cincinnati Reds play. We were at the
so
Red
they did the
Stadium
Red Stadium. Okay. So they were
because it was
actually
already
there.
a baseball field. Yeah,
Well, that's nice. But yeah,
yeah,
but they're selling out like
yeah. They sold
70,
out both
80,000.
nights.
Yeah, like
I
that's
think it was
crazy.
like 90,000 people over 2 nights.
Oh
They
my
had.
goodness, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And the Reds haven't had a sellout since like
No,
opening day. They get them on opening day because it's a big deal in Cincinnati, opening day parade and everything.
sure.
But after that, it kind of tanks.
I miss going to the Reds games and getting the 50-cent hot dog and beer, on certain nights, those promotions.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just it was always so fun.
Well, what happened is the seats that I bought, I surprised everybody. I kept acting like I didn't know we were going, and like I don't know what kind of seats we got. I even, how you can send those a screenshot. You can look up like where it is from your seat, the view.
Yeah.
So I sent Leslie a total different view. Like, oh, we're closest, but we're like over here. And I got the surprise everyone to like the last second. They're like, where are we going? And I was like, the guy said we're going to club seats or something. I don't know.
I don't
We
know.
walked in. They're like, wait a minute. Did you know? I was like, yes, I got you all. Suckers. Me and surprises. But it turned out that I didn't know. I knew we got some kind of food with that kind of area. But I
Uh-huh.
didn't know it was like an all-you-can-eat area. So you had nothing but hot dogs, brats, cheeseburgers, buffalo chicken, brisket, mac and cheese. Our local La Rosa's pizza place. Did you ever have La Rosa's pizza?
No, I never had that. Is
Okay,
it good?
it's really good. So you can have
Oh, man.
all-you-can-eat pizza, all that stuff,
Come on.
sodas, desserts,
Come on.
pasta. It was like a glutton's dream. So coming right from St. Vincent where we went right to that. We were
Yep.
eating like a bunch of slobs, but we had so much fun. The Bananas games are so freaking fun, man. I can't wait to try to get to another one. I mean,
Oh
I
man,
can see why people follow them on the road now and go everywhere to watch their games because it's just so much family
so
fun.
entertaining. Yeah, it's
Oh
like
my
the
gosh, it's so
Harlem
entertaining.
Globetrotters of baseball
It
almost.
is. Oh my gosh. And the music plays the entire time. It doesn't quiet down when people come to
Yeah,
the bat. It's just a constant soundtrack playing like everything. Do you know they only play for 2 hours? They set a timer.
is that what they do? And then two.
They do. And whatever they get in 2 hours, that's the game.
That's
So if they
it.
only made it 6 innings, that's the game. Yeah. And I won't get into all the rules, but Leslie and Lauren love that because they hate sitting at sports games forever.
Forever.
So they love the fact that it was a 2 hour timer and we were out. And
Right.
it was
Right.
beautiful weather. It was supposed to rain, but it turned into be beautiful blue skies. We had a great time. So
Good.
and then last week, I just got home a couple of days ago. I was out
Right.
in Palm Springs for a business conference that I go to like once a year. It's a huge, big deal. I'm not gonna get not people ever listening's gonna cares that much, but it was just you're crazy busy all day long, every day from like 6 a.m. to like 9:30, 10 at night.
Yep.
But I just got back from that and just trying to recoup. And yeah, it's been good. It's been crazy, but it's been good.
That's awesome, dude.
A lot of
because
crazy.
we're trying to. It's been at least 3 weeks since we've been in the studio together. It's been.
When we were talking to Tom before we started recording too.
Yeah,
I was like, we need to get going because we haven't talked to each other like in person in a bit.
Yeah.
A matter of fact, we messaged yesterday about what time we were recording and stuff like that because I wanted to call him, but I knew as soon as we got on the phone, it'd be game over because I'd be like blah, 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 like 10,000 things. And I know Billy's got some stuff to talk about. So, Billy, tell me what was going on last couple weeks, but tell me specifically about last night.
About last night.
I don't mean it that way. Yesterday.
What happened yesterday? What was yesterday? Saturday? No, Sunday. I went to church.
Wait a minute. What was the day before yesterday?
Saturday.
What was that?
Saturday. Now,
help me out here, man.
Saturday. What did we do on Saturday? I had to go out of the house again because it was Lily's birthday party. A couple weeks ago, Chloe had a girl day spa party, and so I got kicked out of the house for that because it was just all girls.
Of course,
they doing the face mask, little friends come over and all that stuff. Well, of course, Lily's birthday is at the end of the month, and this is when all of her little friends could come, and so she had hers on Saturday, her party. And of course I got kicked out, but I had to do all the errands again. Had to go pick up the Chick-fil-A nuggets. I had to go get the cookie cake right beforehand. Like I'm running around in the morning before everything. And then I'm out the door. So yeah, but that was my big weekend this past weekend.
Wait a minute. Didn't something happen with you and your wife this past weekend?
That was also our wedding anniversary. Yeah,
I know. I'm trying to feed you the lines here, brother.
There you go. I was like, it was 17 years of wonderful marriage. Yeah, that also was on Saturday as well. Yeah, sorry. Oh man,
I was like, help me out, Billy. You already forgot your anniversary already.
My anniversary. Yeah, it was Saturday. It was great. What did we do? After the party. The girls had another birthday party to go to right afterwards. And so they did back to back. And then after that, my mother-in-law was down. And so she got to watched the girls for us. And we went and had an awesome dinner downtown Tuscaloosa. It's fantastic. It has literally the best gumbo I've ever had in my life. And I grew up on the coast.
I was going to say, that's saying a lot for you.
And it is the best. It's like a dark roux. It's like, it's so good too.
So it must be crazy spicy if you're loving it that much. It must be insane.
It's so good. It's not spicy, but the flavors are so good. Like I don't even add hot sauce to it because I don't want to mess up their flavors. That's how good it is.
That's saying a lot for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just a delicious meal and stuff like that. But yeah, we celebrated 17 years on Saturday, and I'm looking forward to the next 17.
Yeah, I'm like, Billy, what else did you do?
What else did I do? It's like, dad brain, just like, summer running around.
Yeah,
I get it. Yeah, they're at drama camp right now. So we actually have a couple of hours to record, which is fantastic because I'm not worried about them like being quiet in the background. Like last week, they were here when I had to record a like a 5-minute intro to our last episode where, you know, if y'all saw that, it was the Hot Ones challenge that me and Michelle made. So
let me just say that was so good.
Thank you.
It was so good. I had sneak peeked like about a month ago and watched the raw uncut footage.
Right.
I watched it, but listening back to it, like audio wise, it was so good. You did a great job.
Thank you. It turned out it was fun. I know she loved it, and I know that was an experience for her too. And but I kind of wanted to set it up for the summer series, so I just recorded like a 5-minute intro. You know, just saying, you know, you weren't here, and she's stepping in for this episode. And
let me say, Michelle, if you're listening, you're not taking over my spot on the podcast. I love you and all.
She will gladly, yes.
No, she did a good job too.
But yeah, and so, but they're in the back room. I told them be quiet, and I hear them screaming, and so I go back there. I'm like, "What are y'all doing?" And they were tickling each other.
Of course.
And I'm like, "That how is that going to keep you quiet?" Like, you know. And so, you know, I had to come back and then
did you have to break out your dad voice?
I was a little like, come on, girls, come on. And so I go back and I re-record it because I knew that they would be screaming in the background. And then I put that in to do the final edit.
Yeah.
I had my mute button on the whole time.
No. Are you kidding me?
So I recorded it twice. The whole thing was just muted. So it's just me just talking, no sound. So I was like, okay. And of course I already got them out of the room and they're playing again. So I was like, girls, got to go back in the room. Let me re-record this. And so they were super good. They were so quiet.
Good job, girls.
Yeah. And so they went back and I re-recorded. I put it back into the final cut to start editing. My soundboard somehow had gotten pushed on Monster Voice.
Are you kidding me?
It was off of mute, but it was
well, see, I know what Billy's talking about because he and I have the same like soundboard.
So I had to go back and re-record for a fourth time, and I made sure all my buttons were right because normally, like the mute button, you would have caught that because you would have been on the other side, and
right.
You wouldn't be like, I can't hear you, so I would have fixed it. But you know, since it was just me, I had to do it 4 times, and those poor girls had to keep going back in the back and. But we got it done and it turned out great.
Tomorrow, a big day is happening.
Tomorrow is
all
a big
around,
day.
not just personally for you, Billy, but all around the world.
Oh.
People are celebrating a big, huge day. Billy, tomorrow is your birthday.
It is. Yes. And so by the time y'all listen,
early.
Thank you. Yeah. So by the time y'all listen to it, my birthday would have been a couple days ago. But yeah.
Are you doing anything fun for your birthday tomorrow?
We are just, we're running around.
Okay.
Michelle's off on Tuesdays, so that works out great. We're doing our normal errands, and the girls have camp from 1 to 4. And so when they do that, we'll probably go to like the sauna, kind of do the spa thing. For
hours. I keep on forgetting about your spa thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll do that for a little bit. And I think we're going to go have hibachi tomorrow night.
Oh, yum. I love hibachi so much.
That's one of my favorites. And so, yeah, that's kind of the big 42.
So will there be any birthday cake or anything?
Yes, I'm gonna go get a cookie cake, ice cream cake from Publix.
Oh,
yeah, I'm gonna try that. I usually get one from Dairy Queen.
Yeah,
but we've not had the best experiences at Dairy Queen lately, so I kind of don't want to support them.
That's right. So, they kind of threw you out not too long ago. Said you couldn't sit inside, right?
Can't sit inside, and then. You know, they almost got in a fight with some random dude in the parking lot through the parking window while we were right there. And so we're like, yeah, you know,
that sounds pretty normal. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's not go there anymore. So I'll just go to Publix and get some.
Let me tell you this. I don't know. Maybe you've seen this on TikTok. Have you seen the way that people have been videoing the happy birthday song? So I saw it, and Leslie did it for her birthday. I had to go out of town on that day. But it was a lady, and everyone's singing happy birthday to her, and it's her being filmed. And she goes, all these years, I found out I was doing it the wrong way. And she grabs the camera, and she shows everybody, all the people there who are loving on her, singing happy birthday. And it's got me so emotional. I'm like, just think, like, how many years it's only been you blowing out the candles.
Right.
Flip the camera around and see, like, could you imagine having a video of your girls and Michelle singing happy birthday to you? So if they do that, flip the camera around this time. And to say, and You can start that way because that's like kind of the trend, and then just grab it and flip it around. You get to see them. So she did that with her family, and I was like, oh, that gave me like all the feels.
Oh,
I think that would be a special memory to have.
I think that would be sweet.
Videos.
I will have to do that.
All right,
yeah.
I'm counting on seeing it, so don't blow it.
Yeah, gosh.
Yeah, well, we've got so many fun things to jump in today with the summer series, so I think it's time to hit them with it.
Let's do it.
Well, there ain't nothing to it but to do it. Are you ready, my friend?
You better believe it. Let's get into all the everything, y'all.
All the everything, we've got it all. We've got it all, small, weird, or tall. So grab your snacks, sit back, don't stress. Cause Tim and Billy talk about the randomness. Information prone to UFOs will take you where the weirdness goes. It's two guys talking way too loud about stuff that makes no sense, but we're kinda proud.
Well, welcome back to another amazing episode of All the Everything Podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Tim Sawhook, but I'm joined by the best in the business, the birthday boy, turning number 42, wearing a Superman hat, waiting for Superman to come out on July 8th because we got the pre-prime tickets.
That's right.
My man, Billy Parchman. How you doing, buddy?
Buddy, doing good, man. Hashtag look up.
Good.
Yeah, Superman. I'm excited.
Hashtag look up. I love that. Yeah, I mean, how'd you feel? I felt like that one came out smoothly, that introduction.
That one was really good. You
like
know,
that? Okay.
You did everything. Something I loved. It was personal. You did good, sir. You did good.
Thank you. There was a lot of meat on the bone to work with.
There was.
Anyhow, too much to talk about the introduction. Like I said, we are enjoying our summer series. We've done a couple things already. We've done Campfire Stories. We've done the Hot One special. Yep. And today, this one is the one when Billy and I were like prepping our stuff. What kind of other episodes can we do about summer? I know Billy has a lot of personal experience in this, and I know there is a bunch of amazing stories. And today, Billy, tell them what we're talking about, sir.
That's right. Well, we're going to be talking about that lovely time of the year where you head on down the road and you go to summer camp. We're sharing some summer camp stories.
Yep. So Billy's got some personal stories from being a camp counselor. Oh, that's a real hillbilly counselor for so many years. So I know he's got some personal ones. The ones I looked up, and I'll tell you now, they were on Reddit. They are true stories. I've got a variety for you. Got some real life stuff, some scary stuff, some funny stuff.
Ooh.
I mean, because Billy can tell you he's lived it all. All those things happen at camp.
It does. It really does.
Oh, and also at the very end, Leslie, my wife, if you don't know by now, she went to tons of camps growing up. Her parents, because they all worked, so they would send her to camp after camp after camp. So I got a couple real life stories from her that she's told over the years that are just kind of funny. I think you'll get a little laugh out of them. But without keeping you guys waiting, Billy, I think we should get right into it, right?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. So my first story is entitled The Midnight Search. The Midnight Search. Here we go. So it started like any other stormy night at Camp Riverbend, a rustic, woodsy stretch of cabins and trails nestled deep in the Pacific Northwest, about an hour's drive from the nearest town. The kind of camp where the kids came to ditch their phones, roast marshmallows, and tell us some scary stories under the stars. But that night, there were no stars. A heavy rain had rolled in the late afternoon, and by nightfall, the sky had turned to a deep, bruised gray. Thunder growled in the distance like a sleeping beast, and fat droplets of rain tapped rhythmically on the cabin rooftops like a ghostly fingertips playing a hollow drum beat. Inside most of the cabins, campers were already zipped up tight in their sleeping bags, whispering scary stories and daring each other to keep the flashlight beams on as long as possible. The windows fogged with condensation. The scent of wet pine just hung in the air. Jackson, a 19-year-old camp counselor in his third year at Riverbend, was finishing his final rounds for the night. He was tall, lanky, always cracking jokes, but tonight he was quiet. He had just left the mess hall, where he was the last one to have the dishes washed, put up to be dried, and stacked. His poncho clung to his skin, rain dripping off the hood and pooling in the stops of his boots. He was walking back to his cabin, mentally reviewing the checklist. Billy, I'm sure you went through this before. Lights off on the main lodge, check all the cabins, everyone was accounted for. When his walkie-talkie suddenly hissed and sputtered to life. Base to all units, we have a situation. Camper unaccounted for in Unit C. Repeat, camper missing. Well, with this news, Jackson froze. A missing camper? That was a nightmare scenario. The thing they were drilled on during training week over and over again. The thing that the director warned about constantly. Always doing head counts. Always stick to the buddy system. Always know where you are and your kids are at all times. The storm had only made things worse. Limited visibility, slick trails, flooded paths. Without a second thought, Jackson sprinted toward Unit C. The rain was falling harder and harder now. Flashes of lightning lit up the sky in quick, eerie pulses. As he passed cabins, some of the kids peeked out from behind windows and screen doors. Their faces pale and frightened, whispers fall like him like echoes in the night. He arrived to find several camp counselors already huddled around the director. She was a sharp-featured woman named Caroline who had worked at Riverbend for over a decade. Her expression was grim, her clipboard soaked. She said, "Name is Haley Jacobs," she told the group. "She's 9 years old, blonde hair, blue raincoat. Her bunkmate said she never came back from the mess hall. She might have tried to sneak out. We need to find her before the storm gets any worse." Within minutes, search teams were being formed, flashlights grabbed, whistles clipped to jackets, rain gear hastily thrown on. Jackson was paired with Lena, another returning counselor. She was practical, quick thinking, and absolutely terrified of snakes, which was unfortunate given their assigned search zone. "North Trail," Lena repeated, squinting at the map. "That place is practically overgrown, full of snakes. No one's used it in years." Jackson nodded grimly. "Exactly, that's why we're checking it." They took off towards the old path, where the trail forked off from the main hiking loop, and it led into a denser, dark section of woods. The trees here stood closer together, the branches drooping with rain and moss. Every sound was amplified. The snap of a branch, the croak of a distant frog, their own footsteps sloshing through the muddy leaves. Jackson's flashlight beam barely cut through the mist. It was like the forest was swallowing it whole. "What's her name again?" Lena said. Haley Jacobs," Jackson said. "She was on the nature hike earlier, got real excited about the pond, might have followed something." "In this weather," Lena muttered, "that's insane." Jackson shrugged. "She's 9. Everything feels like an adventure at that age." Back at camp, the situation had escalated. More cabins were swept. The director had radioed the sheriff's department. The deputies were now combing the area with search dogs, thermal drones. Inside the main lodge, the campers were gathered together. Whispers flying, eyes wide with worry. You could feel the tension in the air. Even the trees outside seemed to be holding their breath. Jackson and Lena continued their sweep, calling Haley's name into the shadows. The trail grew narrower. They passed an old wooden sign that nearly rotted off its posts. "Deer Run, trail closed." "Why would she come this way?" Lena asked. Jackson wasn't sure, but then again, why does any kid run off alone in the rain? Maybe she saw something. Maybe she thought she could get back before anyone noticed. Then the radio cracked again. "This is Search Team Bravo. We've got something. Movement near the creek. Looks like a blue jacket." Jackson and Lena locked eyes and screamed, "Let's go." They both broke into a run, the terrain slick and uneven beneath their boots. Mud splashed up their legs, branches clawed at their jackets. And the rain was coming down in sheets now. Thunder cracked so loud it rattled their bones. They slid down the slope toward the creek bed. The beam of their lights bounced wildly as they searched through the underbrush. And then, "Over here," someone shouted. Partially hidden behind a clump of ferns and soaked to the bone stood Haley. She was barefoot, standing in ankle-deep water, her blonde hair plastered to her face, but she wasn't crying. She wasn't even panicking. She was talking to a frog. Jackson waded over carefully, his voice gentle. "Hey, Haley, you okay?" She turned to him and smiled like nothing had happened. "This is Bubbles," she said, pointing to the small green frog nestled in her hands. "I followed him after lunch, then it rained, so I stayed here and talked to him. He said someone would finally come for me." Jackson knelt beside her, heart thudding. "You scared us, kiddo." "I left him here on a rock," she said solemnly, "so I'd remember where he was." Wrapped in emergency blankets and holding a styrofoam cup of cocoa, Haley sat in the lodge an hour later, telling her story to the director and a deputy. She'd wander off during the hike, chasing a frog. And when the rain started, she followed the sound of the creek, thinking that it would circle back to the camp. But it hadn't. But she stayed put, thinking someone would eventually come, and they did. That night, no one at Camp Riverbend slept easy. The storm passed before dawn, but the memory of the search hung over the camp like a fog. Mm-hmm. Someone said it was a miracle that she hadn't been hurt. Others said the frog Bubbles was her little guardian angel. And every summer after that, when the new kids come to Camp Riverbend, they're asked about the scariest night ever. And the counselors would glance at each other in the woods and say, "Ask about the midnight search and the frog who knew the way." And that was the story about missing Haley in the woods. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. Oh, yeah. Man.
I mean,
terrifying.
Did you guys ever, when you were a counselor, ever had a kid go missing?
Yes, we did. And
did you really?
it's not a fun situation. Everybody does get panicked. And I mean, you do have to keep cool and search and do grid search. And we found them. When you have angsty teenagers, sometimes they don't think very well. So
the story was on Reddit, and it was reported by actually one of the camp counselors who told the real story about what happened.
100%. I was like, nothing better happened to this little girl, Tim. I'm thinking in my head.
I wouldn't read any of those stories, I promise.
I was like, oh, where's this going?
The story had a happy ending.
Good. Yeah, it did. It really did. Yeah.
As you can see, I don't have to promise you. So, anyhow, that's a story about the missing in the woods little girl with her frog Bubbles.
Bubbles.
Mr. Bubbles.
Yep.
Billy, what do you got for us? What's your first story about?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about when I was a counselor, what camp actually looked like.
Okay.
I started as a camp counselor my sophomore year of college.
What was the name of your camp?
It was camp. I was at a couple of camps. I was at Camp Bob Cooper.
Okay.
It was a 4-H camp in South Carolina. I was hired by a Christian ministry called Inquest Ministries that did summer camps. Camp Bob Cooper was owned by Clemson University. And so they partnered with them. And so they hired us as counselors for Inquest on, the majority of the weeks were Inquest camps. And so we had a full production, worship, Bible studies, your typical church camp.
Sure.
On the off weeks, the normal weeks that Camp Bob Cooper, they hired us as well as 4-H counselors. And so we did, it was 1 week would be something, the next would be Inquest, like 1 week would be something. And it was a very eclectic group of camp counselors. So you have like these like little Bible school college camp counselors, and then you have like real world counselors, that's really into more like the hippie kind of vibes where they're into, outdoor hiking and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you have like this, this group coming together, and it was fantastic. Like I absolutely love everybody that was on staff. And we bonded, even though like a lot of the beliefs weren't, lining up, we were a family. It was fantastic. And so the weeks that we weren't doing Inquest camp, we had like different themes. It could have been just like a normal 4-H, like your summer camp that you go to, and you go do archery. We had we had the best like 50-foot rock climbing wall.
Oh, really?
You're on belay. We had a huge high ropes course that was on the back end of it. It was fantastic. I mean, you're like 50 feet in the air, swinging, climbing over. You're on belay the whole time and stuff like that. And so we had all that. We would do small ropes course, like, do the truss fall and different things like that, team building exercises. And then we were right on the lake, Bob Cooper Lake right there in South Carolina. And it was just like it was amazing. Some of the specialty camps that we did, we had a week of just kids with diabetes. And,
oh, really? Okay.
And so they would come, and of course we had all the diet sodas that you could dream of, and sugar-free ice cream, and all this other stuff. And of course, the kitchen was the food that week was tailored more towards kids with diabetes. But it was just a week for them to be normal and just enjoy like a normal camp experience.
Yeah, I love that.
Which was so funny because one of our counselors, his name's Johnny. Everybody called him Johnny Seven Toes because he had 7 toes.
Yeah, that sounds reasonably enough.
Yeah. So Johnny Seven Toes, fantastic guy. He actually ended up marrying another one of the camp counselors. What
was her
somebody
name?
That Joanna.
Joanna 10 Toes.
Joanna. Yeah. And so they got married later, but it was funny because he was okay. So he lost his toes in a terrible car accident because he went into like his sugar got so bad because he was diabetic himself.
Oh, okay.
And he kind of went into like a diabetic shock while he was driving and almost died, but he lost 3 of his toes in the wreck. And so he was the only good, like he said, the good thing about losing his toes was it was the 3 toes. It wasn't his big toe or the toe right beside it. So he was still able to wear flip-flops.
Oh my God.
I'm telling you, we had characters.
Oh, yeah. Johnny Seven Toes. Yeah.
Johnny Seven Toes. But the kids left so much like diabetic supplies after they left. Like I found a refrigerator full of insulin. And I was like, dude,
Wow.
hey, it's like this insulin right here. Is this any of the stuff that you could use? Because, they were gone. He's like, this is the exact same stuff that I used. And so he had so much medicine that he was able to use that his insurance thought he wasn't diabetic anymore. And so when it was time to refill it, they were like, you haven't refilled it in like a year. So he had to go through all that and be like, no, I'm still diabetic. But we would also do camps for kids with special needs. And that one was the most challenging because we were with them 24/7.
Right.
We had a group, and it ranged, from all types of, on the spectrum to, just some cases that had to have one-on-one count, like a person with them as well. But it was just, we were in the rooms with them. We took care of them. It was so special, but it was hard. It was hard. Every year around the 4th of July, they would do this camp for kids with cancer and their siblings.
Oh,
and so they pulled out all the stops. Like this thing was so well funded. Like they made sure that these kids that came to this camp had it all.
Oh, that's amazing.
They would put on a fireworks spectacular over the lake. Like hundreds of boats would just be filling up the lake. It was so special. Like just being able to watch fireworks and be with these kids and just let them be normal, for a week. Don't have to, of course we had all the doctors and staff like that on that week was just, but they were there with their siblings, brothers and sisters, everything like that. So it was a super special time in my life just to be able to experience all these different types of camps.
Oh yeah.
And so that's kind of like how my camp looked. I was at Camp Bob Cooper, and then also my junior and senior year, I was in another camp. I kind of split time between the two, Camp Bob Cooper and Hiwassee College in Tennessee. So I was in the mountains in Tennessee at this little college that we took out for Inquest. Like that was strictly Inquest church camp. And so I was able to kind of lead over there as well. So I kind of wanted to, for my first story, just to kind of share kind of the things that we did. So there we go.
That's cool. I love that background on that. All the variety of different kids you have there. Like my heart's close to special needs kids because Leslie was a special ed teacher for 19 years.
Exactly.
School. I worked one-on-one with the kids. I was called a paraprofessional, but I worked one-on-one with special needs kids from kindergarten up to 3rd grade. For about 5 years, I think I did that. And it was it's very challenging.
Yes, it is.
It's very challenging, but it's also so rewarding, man. Just
absolutely.
The kids are amazing. They're overlooked a lot. Well, good. That's so much more uplifting than the story I had about the lady lost with the frog. But I didn't know Billy was coming with all personal stories. I thought he'd have some personal anecdotes, but man, he's bringing all the big guns. That's awesome, though. I love that.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing that. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
So we moved on from Lost Child in the Woods to now we have one of the scarier stories that was told on Reddit. So my second story is called The Cabin Door, and it's listed in Reddit under scary/paranormal. So you can see where we're going here.
Oh.
So Chloe, which rings big to your heart here. Chloe had never believed in ghosts. She'd grown up in a perfectly average townhouse in the suburbs, a place where the most supernatural thing was a flickering street lamp at the end of the cul-de-sac. Her parents were very practical, rational people. They paid bills on time, drank decaf coffee, believed everything had a logical explanation. I don't know what decaf coffee has to do with any of that, but anyhow. So if the floor creaked at night, it was settling wood. If the dog barked at an empty hallway, it was just a draft. If the lights flickered, it was just faulty wiring, which is also reassuring, right? Faulty wiring in your house. To them, spirits, demons, and things that go bump in the night, those were for horror movies, cheap thrills, sound effects, and fog machines. So when her best friend Kyron begged her to come along to Camp Hollow Creek for the summer, Chloe hadn't thought twice about saying yes. Ghost stories were part of the fun, sure, but she'd grown up too skeptical, too grounded, and too practical to really buy into any of that. But Camp Hollow Creek was nestled deep in the forest of British Columbia, surrounded by towering pine trees and cool blue lakes that shimmered like glass. It was remote, so remote, in fact, that there was no cell service, just payphones at the Welcome Lodge, an emergency radio system no camper was allowed to touch. The cabins were old but sturdy, logs stacked high, chinked with real mud, the kind of place that made your socks smell like firewood and your dreams feel even longer. Chloe and Kyron shared cabin D, along with 6 other girls their age. They were both 16, full of energy, sarcasm, and the summer freedom that makes you feel like nothing bad could ever happen. The first few days were perfect. They spent the mornings paddling canoes and trying not to fall in the lake. Afternoons meant archery, drama games, or sneaking extra s'mores. At night, they told ghost stories by flashlight, trying to outdo each other with how much fake blood or Latin chaining they could squeeze in. It wasn't until the middle of the week that 2 things got strange, and it all started with Ace. Ace wasn't a camper. He was a counselor in training from another section of the camp across the lake. He had shoulder-length dark hair, always tied back, and a tattoo on his wrist that no one could ever quite make out. He was quiet, a little older, maybe 18 or 19, and always seemed a little removed from the typical camp nonsense. Chloe noticed him because he didn't laugh when others did. He didn't join in late-night jokes or tug-of-war contests. He was just different. One afternoon, just before dinner, Ace approached her near the mess hall. He looked pale, sweaty, his eyes darted around like he was making sure no one was listening, and he said, "I don't want to freak you out, but something's wrong with your friend." Chloe blinked. "You mean Kyron?" Ace nodded. "Last night, during prayer circle, I had a vision. I saw something, a presence around her, and then later I had a dream. There was a black figure standing over her bed, and it didn't have a face, just a shape, watching her." Chloe laughed, thinking it was part of some elaborate camp prank. "Okay, sure." And did it say ooh and float around the walls? Ace didn't smile. He just stared and said, "This isn't a joke." And then he just walked away. That night, Chloe couldn't stop thinking about what he said, even as she brushed her teeth and tried to laugh with the other girls about mosquito bites and the boys' cabin prank war. Something sat in her chest, a tiny pressing weight. By the time the lights came on, the storm had rolled in, a summer storm, thick and sudden. Rain tapping on the roof, wind howling through the pine trees, thunder low and steady, like the earth was holding its breath. Chloe tossed and turned in her bunk for a while, but finally dozing off. Then came the slam. Exactly 1:32 a.m. She'd remember that time forever. Chloe sat bolt upright in her bed as their cabin door flew open with a bang. It had been locked. She was sure of it. She watched the counselor actually turn the bolt on the door before lights out. But then it hung wide open, creaking back and forth in the wind. Rain blew in sideways. The room was freezing. Still groggy, Chloe reached for a flashlight on the shelf beside her bunk, fumbled it, let it clatter to the floor. The batteries rolled out, vanishing under the trunk. That's when she heard it. Footsteps. Not on the cabin floor, but on the roof.
No.
Tap, tap, shuffle, tap. Then nothing. Chloe's heart was hammering in her chest. She looked around. Most of the other girls were still asleep, or maybe pretending to be. The storm covered up most of the noise, but one thing she had noticed immediately, Kyron's bed was empty. The blanket was tossed to the side, pillow damp with rain. Her boots were still under her bunk. Panic set in like ice water. Chloe didn't hesitate. She ran outside barefoot, soaked in seconds, calling her friend's name into the night. "Kyron!" Then nothing. "Kyron, this isn't funny!" she screamed. She sprinted past the cabin, through the trees, her feet sinking into the muddy trail. The whole camp seemed eerily still. No lights on, just wind and rain and thunder. Then she saw her, standing dead center in the soccer field, completely still, her arms limp at her sides, her head tilted slightly upward. Her hair was plastered to her face. Her feet were bare, caked in mud. Chloe rushed to her side and said, "Are you okay?" And Karen just said nothing. Kyron didn't move for a long moment. Then she suddenly turned her head. Her eyes were wide, too wide. Her pupils were enormous, nearly eclipsing the blue of her irises. Then she whispered something so soft, Chloe almost missed it. "He's gone." Before Chloe could say anything, Kyron collapsed. She wasn't unconscious, but she was disoriented. Her legs shook. Her skin was clammy. Chloe screamed for help, and two counselors came running with flashlights. They wrapped her in blankets, carried her back to the nurse's cabin. Chloe stayed awake with her all night, holding her hand. The next morning, Kyron didn't remember anything. "I had a weird dream," she admitted softly, sipping some hot tea. "There was a man with no face. He held my hand. I think he was trying to show me something, but then someone pulled me back." That afternoon, Ace found Chloe again. His eyes were red, like he hadn't slept at all. "I stayed up all night praying," he said. "Whatever it was, I think it's gone now." Chloe asked him what he meant. He just shook his head. There's an old story, he said, about something that wanders the woods during storms, something that looks for kids who are easy to reach, lonely, lost, open. It doesn't take them, not always, but it marks them, and it comes back if you leave the door open. She never forgot those words. Chloe never went back to Camp Hollow Creek, not the year after, not the year after that. Kyron did once, but then she refused to stay in Cabin D. And every now and then, when the weather turns dark and windy, Chloe finds herself lying awake, staring at the door to make sure it's shut, bolted, locked, because some doors don't need to be open and some visitors don't knock.
That's right. Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. They claim this is a true story on Reddit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it happened, but could you imagine like seeing that happen? And you got Ace.
Yeah.
Good old Ace coming through with these creepy stories.
Yeah. Ace saved the day there with his little prayer. Woo! Oh my goodness.
Ace was up praying all night long. Good Lord.
Oh.
But anyhow. So when you were at camp real quick, did you stay in the bunk room with the kids as a counselor?
For the special needs we did. There was a couple of 4-H ones that we were in there. And the way that our camps were at Camp Bob Cooper, it's this row of rooms, and it's a big room, and it would have like 4 or 5 different bunk beds in each room, and then it would share like showers and bathrooms like on the building. And so everybody, so that's kind of the layout of there. And so yeah, we would stay for the special needs and for a couple of 4-H ones that required that. But the other ones, we had like this little trailer park in the back of it was back in the woods. That's where we lived. We had our own rooms and stuff. It was awesome.
Well, I just wondered about the whole door being bolted once people were there. Is that something that actually happens? Like you would lock them in with you?
No, you wouldn't. You would just close the door. And then there was a screen door as well. So a lot of times the door was just open because, the
breeze,
let the wind,
stuff.
let the breeze go in. It was right there on the lake and stuff as well.
Sometimes you don't want to let certain things in, Billy.
That's right. Nope.
All right. So what do you have for us next, sir?
All right. So next I want to talk about when I was doing inquest camps, we would always have late night. And what late night was basically like this entertainment portion of camp where we would put on fun skits. We had made funny videos. It's kind of where my video editing kind of started.
Oh, really?
Making camp videos and stuff, working with the media team. And we would film the entire week, and make individual like weeks, like this week at camp, and we'd sell DVDs, that they could buy.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we would do that as well, but we would produce and make funny videos. And we also partnered. A lot of the media team came from North Carolina. And there was a certain young YouTubers, when they first got their start, that made funny videos that have become some of the larger YouTubers in the world. You might know them as Rhett and Link. And so we did a lot of stuff with Rhett and Link.
They were there at that camp?
They made videos for us that we played. Like they did this like Pimp My Ride type playoff where he pimped his kid's Power Wheel. Like and stuff like that.
Amazing.
It was such a funny video. And this was like before they ever got famous and on the Tonight Show or whatever.
You want to tell them what show they host?
They host Good Mythical Morning, but that
show's super popular. That is like Luke and Lauren's like favorite show to watch.
Yeah.
Rhett and Link.
And ever since then I followed their careers, like when they started making like these late night commercials, like for just random businesses that were hilarious. And then, they kind of grew and grew and grew and now have one of the most popular podcasts, YouTube series out there. But they helped make a couple of our videos as well. So
that's really cool.
It was a big, huge stage show. We would put on skits, do different things. And during late night, like one time we came up with the idea that I was going to have the camp vote on whether or not I should on stage get my hair cut into a mullet or a mohawk.
Oh my God.
And so that was the goal. And so we did this big, huge thing where they would scream out and I was on the stage. They had clippers ready to go, mohawk or mullet. Mohawk won.
Okay.
And so they shaved my head on stage. But the thing is, I don't know if the guard was just not on right. It
Oh
was
no.
ripping the hair out of my head. It wasn't just smoothly.
Oh my God.
And so I'm on stage and she's like cutting this mohawk in my hair as it just rips it out of my head. It was the most pain. Like, so I'm like, ah, but I had this big, huge, because my hair was super long and like I had grown it out, being a camp counselor or whatever. And so I had this funky, huge mohawk. It was almost like a faux mullet. They got the best of both worlds. But yeah, we do stuff like that. And one year when we were at Hiwassee College, their college mascot was the tiger.
All right.
And we had full access to their whole theater department and their costumes and all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we found 2 mascot uniforms of 2 tigers.
Okay.
And in this little town, this is not a college anymore. It kind of got condemned because it was so old. It's not even a thing anymore. But when we were there, this little town where this college was, the big hangout was the Walmart parking lot.
Okay.
That's where everybody hung out at night. And I guess they would just drink or whatever. Not like the camp counselors, but just like the locals. And,
the locals. Okay. I thought you meant your camp counselors would go to Walmart and hang out. Okay.
Yeah, church camp. We just like, we're gonna go out and drink at the Walmart parking lot. Yeah. But we found these cat costumes, these tiger costumes, and we thought, okay, how can we make an awesome video for camp? And so what we did was 2 of our guys, they dressed up and we took them down, and then in front of everybody, they just came running at each other. And basically one speared the other, and they just started like wailing, like just fighting in front of like this. So you have these 2 tigers in front of all these drunk people in the Walmart parking lot, and they're just seeing these 2 tigers just fight. And it was hilarious. And like we got in so much trouble because it's a small town. And so word got back that their mascots were fighting in the wall. And so they locked the costume closet, even though we had extra keys. But I have this amazing video, and I'll actually will post this on our YouTube on a short of us fighting in the Walmart parking lot.
Wait a minute, were you dressed up as one of those mascots?
I was not. I was one of the drivers.
Okay.
So we had it all coordinated. They had the fight all like mapped out and stuff. It was amazing. But just like some of the different videos, like, doing like an introduction video where we all, I'm Billy, kind of like this. And we did this whole like TV themed, like I was Chandler from Friends, and we kind of recreated that. And they did like a Full House one. It was super fun. And if you've ever done camp before, and like some like that had a late night, let me know your favorite things that you remember, like maybe the skits or whatever. Just let us know when we post these videos on the YouTube and the TikTok and everything. So
and all the things.
Yeah, so that was a little bit of the late night fun. It was always, especially for like a drama geek like myself, it was always super fun to be up on stage and acting crazy.
That's amazing. I mean, I can only imagine the drunk people at Walmart thinking, what in God's name is happening right now? They're like, yes. You're lucky they didn't get in on it and start beating the crap out of y'all.
It just started like this huge mob.
At that point, as a driver, you just drive away and leave them for
just
dead.
Leave them. Sorry, Duke. Yep. See you, Duke.
You're in God's hands now. I'm out of here.
They have to walk back to the college.
Yeah, exactly.
Carrying the head.
Carrying the head.
Yep.
No, trying to like hitchhike with the head. Yeah. Yep. Now I'm going down a different route. Okay. My third story and my big story here, my final story. This one is so funny. Like, I died laughing the first time I read it, and I was rereading it last night in preparation. I can only imagine this happening, and this one is too good not to be true. So, the name of the story is the DSI disaster. The DSI disaster. All right, here we go. So let me take you back, way back to the golden era of middle school awkwardness. This was before TikTok, before Instagram Reels, back when YouTube was still buffering on your family desktop computer. And the peak of digital cool was owning a Nintendo DSi. Did you have one of those? Nintendo DS?
No, I never got a DS. I had Game Boys. I missed the whole DS though.
Yeah, our kids had DSs. Like that was a big DS, and then the DSi was like the next step up. That was like their thing growing up. So anyhow, you remember the DSi, right? It was the device, a clunky little rectangle that could play Mario Kart, take grainy, low-res pictures, and perhaps most dangerously, let you customize your own wallpapers. Which brings us to our hero of the story, Zach. Zach was 12 years old, slightly nerdy, slightly chubby, and very much in that weird middle ground where you're both desperate to be cool, but also painfully, helplessly awkward. Zach had a big heart, a backpack full of snacks, and a dream to impress people at Camp Pine Hollow, a week-long summer camp famous for canoeing, crafts, and catastrophic middle school mistakes. Now, here's the thing about Zach. He didn't just play his DSi, he lived on it. While other kids were packing sunscreen and flip-flops, Zach was carefully wrapping his DSi in a sock and hiding it from his parents by tucking it deep inside his duffel bag like it was the crown jewels. But just before he left camp, something happened. Zach was alone in his room. He was bored. He was 12. And for whatever reason, whether it was curiosity or boredom, the fact that his older cousin once said something about daring pictures, Zach made a decision that would echo through eternity. He took what we would say, in quotes, as a private photo. Not to send it, not to show anyone. That wasn't the point. No, Zach just thought it was funny. A prepubescent masterpiece. More ridiculous than anything else, just a blurry, low-angle, poorly lit shot of his junk. And because his 12-year-old logic is something no scientist can truly explain, he thought, this would be hilarious. I'll set this as my photo frame on my DSi. You know the feature? You know that feature? Oh my God, this makes me laugh so hard. You know the feature, the one where you can take a photo and then use it as a decorative frame around other photos on your home screen? So Zach took a nature picture, some trees outside his window, and it made it look like it was inside a cute little photo frame. Except the frame was his unfiltered, unedited, deeply regrettable selfie of doom. Flash forward to day 3 of Camp Pine Hollow. Zach's on the front porch of his cabin, chilling with his bunkmates. The sun's out, birds are chirping, mosquitoes are everywhere. He's minding his own business, playing Mario Kart, and that's when she appears. Taylor. From Cabin 6. Taylor, he had been crushing on her since orientation. Blonde ponytail, braces that somehow worked. She was the kind of middle school girl who knew how to braid friendship bracelets. I'm sorry. Let me say that again. She was the kind of big old
friendship blanket.
Let me say that again. She was the kind of middle school girl who knew how to braid friendship bracelets and quote SpongeBob in just the right way. Basically a unicorn. Taylor saunters over to the two friends and says casually, "Hey, can I play Mario Kart on DSi?" Well, his heart stops. His palms turn totally sweaty like soup. Inside, a full emergency meeting is happening in his brain. Say no, make up an excuse, fake a seizure, throw it into the woods. But before he can say a word, Taylor grabs the DSi off his lap with a big, trusting smile, and then click, the screen lights up. The home menu appears, and there it is, the photo frame border, a beautiful forest scene surrounded by an unwanted, accidentally, painfully zoomed in tribute to preteen anatomical curiosity. Taylor stares at it, confused, then horrified. Her face twists in that way only middle school girls can manage, somewhere between disgust, disbelief, and a little too much secondhand embarrassment. She made a noise, not a scream, not a laugh, just, "What is that?" That's when Zach's soul left his body. Time slowed down. One of the boys leaned in, then another. Soon half the porch gathered around the DSi, laughing, gasping, and shouting, "Bro, what is that? Is that yours?" Zach tried to grab it back, but it was too late. The counselor was already walking over. Someone had shouted for them between the wheezes of laughter. A camp staffer named Marcus, tall, stern, very serious, plucked the DSi from the crowd with a, "Let me see that." One glance, Marcus sighed, the sigh of a man who had once had dreams and now how to deal with a middle schooler in their gadgets and pictures of someone's junk. The DSi was confiscated. The laughter echoed for days. Zach became a legend, but not in a good way. He was the kid who ruined nature with nudity, as they said in quotes. The boy turned into a forest who turned a forest photo into a crime scene. One camper said that she couldn't eat breakfast for 2 days after seeing what she saw.
God bless.
Everywhere Zach went for the rest of the camp, he heard whispers, "DSi guy, Mr. Nature Junk, Exhibit A." And as for Taylor, she wouldn't make eye contact with him again until the last night during the talent show. She was dressed as a butterfly. He was dressed as regret.
Yeah.
The final day of camp, they handed back his DSI. It had completely been wiped and reset, wiped clean. The wallpaper was gone, but his dignity still missing, presumed dead. The next summer, Zach came back to Pine Hollow, but this time he didn't bring his DSI.
Nope.
He just brought a deck of Uno cards and a vow: never again.
Never again. Jeez Louise.
I died when I first read that, Billy, because could you imagine like some stupid middle school boy has his DSI with a camera, and that's why you can't give kids cameras.
No.
You never know what they're going to take a picture of.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and
Could
their
you
frontal
imagine
lobes,
being a counselor
the
with
frontal
that?
lobes are not developed. It's it's just like, oh my gosh.
Now, did you
Wow.
have anything crazy like that happen to you as a counselor?
Trying to think. I don't. Thankfully, nothing. There was some stuff that went down, but nothing like that. Thankfully, no pictures.
Could you imagine if you were the counselor that got called over for that? You'd be like, "Oh, dude,
Yeah,
come on."
I know that there's always certain rules that get certain names, like they're named after people. Like if something happens, you get graced with the Billy rule,
Yeah,
or whatever
back roll.
Yeah, just you got all this different things, and so yeah, he went down. That camp probably has a rule now, like
Yeah,
the Zach rule. Yeah,
I just love the fact that they said he was a legend, just not in a good way.
not in a good way. No. Oh,
And his parents got a phone call.
100%, 100%. Jeez Louise.
Anyhow, I thought that
Jeez
story
Louise.
was hilarious.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so Billy, what is your last story?
Okay,
so your real deal.
The real deal, the real life of camp. I'm going to talk about injuries, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, it happens. You're in a different situation than you normally are. A lot of times it's nature. There's things in nature that can hurt you. Here's some of the things that happened in my camp counseling career to people that I was around and to me personally. It's just like, oh my gosh.
Spill it.
So starting off, like I said earlier, we had like low ropes courses.
Yeah.
More like team building, like how to get your whole team from point A to point B. You have this one little rope that's in the middle that you can't reach. You have, different things like that.
Right.
So there was this one course, and it was that the rope was sitting in the middle. You couldn't just reach out and grab it. And so you had to come up with a way to get everybody from point A to point B, from one block to another, and they couldn't touch the ground. And so one kid just decides he's just going to Tarzan it, run and jump, grab the rope and try to swing and then swing it back.
Right.
And so when he did that, his finger got stuck on the rope with the force and it completely snapped his finger.
Oh,
now
my
I'm standing right there spotting, in case they fall. And he just lands and he just holds up his finger and his finger is completely sideways. He's not screaming or anything like that. It's just, and he's just looking at me like, what the heck? And I'm looking at him like, what the heck? And so we had to take a little field trip, our whole group, down to the nurses. I couldn't just leave them in the woods. And so we all had to cut ropes course a little short that day to deal with a broken finger that he had to
The
get
visual of
back.
that is nasty.
Yeah, it's so gross. And then one night, this one girl felt a sting on her foot.
Okay.
And her foot immediately started swelling. And so we're all like, it's bad. But there's just one dot, like right there. Like she got bit by something. She's having an allergic reaction. What is happening? Can't be a snake bite, can it? Because there's only one dot. Did she get bit by a snake? We're just trying to like go through all these different scenarios. Of course, we're the EMS is coming out because her foot is swelling up pretty large, and it's she's in so much pain, and we're trying to figure out. We're looking around, and then we see it, a copperhead.
Oh my gosh!
And then we look at her flip flop. The other fang had went in her flip flop, so she got hit by one fang on her foot, and so we had to deal with a major snake bite, and of course she got her anti-venom and she was fine, but it's scary, like especially when it's like the kids that are getting hurt or whatever. So we dealt with that. But for me personally, over my
Oh,
3
no.
summers of being a camp counselor. I had 3 hospital visits that I had to do.
3
The
hospital
first
visits?
3 hospital visits
Oh my gosh.
throughout the stay of, basically I just averaged 1 per summer. Well, actually the first one had 2 and then 1 later. But the first one was when we were getting high rope certified.
Okay.
Like I said, we're doing like the rock climbing wall and how to learn how to belay people and keep people safe on belay as they're going through these different courses. We had to do the training ourselves and go through the courses ourselves.
Right.
The problem was it was in the dead heat of the summer, in South Carolina, no shade. And I'm up here on this high ropes course, going through the course.
Right.
And I just feel just everything drained from my body.
Oh,
I'm
no.
on belay. I'm like 50 feet up, and I just pass out from a heat. Like I don't know if it was a heat stroke, heat exhaustion, or whatever. And I just lay back like like I'm just like dangling there, just passed out.
Oh my
And
God.
so we had the instructor, and thankfully we had like this one guy that was just getting recertification, but he's been doing it for so many years. It was just kind of a technicality.
Hey, Billy, can I ask you to explain what belay means? I understand what you're for someone who's listening who doesn't understand what you're talking about.
When you're clipped in, you got to be clipped into your harness and then clipped into the rope system so you don't fall. So in these situations, when you're on belay, you're clipped in, and even if you completely fell off the course, you'll just be hanging there from your harness.
Yeah.
So basically it's just you're clipped in.
Okay.
And if you're doing if you're doing the ropes course, I mean the rock climbing wall, you have the person that's taking out the slack and they're holding the weight of the person if they were to fall, and then they let them down gently. Because it was all a person. It wasn't like the automatic ones that you have nowadays where they just kind of gradually let you down. We had to do all that. But so I'm passed out. Yeah, I'm passed out 40 feet in the air, just dangling. And these 2 guys, they get to demonstrate a real life rescue on how to rescue a kid if they were ever to pass out on the course. And so, I got to be that teaching guide for everybody. And I had to complete my training a little bit later. After I got back from the doctor from my heat stroke or whatever you call it.
Is that what you just had, like heat exhaustion or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wasn't drinking enough water, I guess. And that's another thing. Drink water.
Yeah. In South Carolina, that's crazy humidity too, right?
It's so hot. Yeah. It's so hot. And so, that was number 1. Number 2, we had this blob. Now, if you've ever seen like Camp Heavyweights, like the movie.
Oh,
this blob is this huge balloon that they put out on the lake, and they have this jumping platform. And so one kid goes to the end of the balloon, and the other person's at the top of the jumping deck, and then they jump down and they shoot the kid off. Right. Well, me being like a more stout guy, the kids loved it when I would shoot them off into the atmosphere. And we even had this other guy who we called 40 ounce because he was over 400 pounds, a lot bigger than me. God. But me and him came up with a technique where we timed it perfectly, and we would send the kids. I mean, it was ridiculously dangerous how high they went. It was. I wish we had like say. I know we filmed it, but I wish I had just some of these videos of these kids just flying and flipping in the air, just getting launched. But I would have to do that over and over and over again. And so I did that. And on this one jump, I just landed wrong. And I started tasting blood. And I didn't think I didn't bite myself. I didn't bite my tongue. It wasn't like I checked my mouth. But then, of course, I had to go to the hospital, get checked out because, all this other stuff. And they put me on rest for a little bit. And so injuries happen. We had this one kid get completely WWE smacked in the face with a chair. It was the counselor's fault because they were like, "Hey, let's film this. It'll be funny." He was supposed to put his hands up to catch the chair, like they were just going to kind of do the funny. Well, the one kid didn't put his hands up, and the other kid didn't know how to hold back and do it in a playful kind of like. He swung as hard as he could, and the other kid didn't catch it. He caught it with his face. So we had that happen. We had one of our camp counselors on one of the first nights that we got there. We're in the woods, right?
Right.
This is the nature. Well, there's red bugs. If you've ever gotten into a swarm of red bugs, they get
What's
under
red
your
bug?
skin. It's a little bug that gets under your skin, and they create all these little red bumps on your body. And so like you have all these dead bugs under your skin. It's ridiculous.
My God.
It is.
That sounds like a nightmare.
It's so itchy. It's almost like chicken pox. She got into a whole swarm of them. I don't know where she got into them, but she was covered in hundreds of red bugs all over her body. Like they're like bumps all over. And she was freaking out, obviously. Like, like crying hysterically. Like I thought somebody was dying. Like it was crazy. So yeah, and so that was her experience. But the biggest time that I ever got hurt at camp, and I shared this on a YouTube exclusive video, so you might have heard this story, but I've never shared it live on an actual episode.
Oh, I love this.
So my first year of summer camp, this was actually the camp with the kids with diabetes that I was talking about. We had these huge sumo suits that you put on and you sumo wrestle everybody. And so like the helmet is like the hair piece, right? And you put it on. Well, we were getting ready. I was getting ready to sumo wrestle this other camp counselor. And I got the suit on, and I had just put my helmet on. I hadn't fastened it yet.
Okay.
But two of the other employees, one was the camp nurse who was an idiot. Another was another one. They just thought it would be funny, not in a mean way or anything, but to tackle us in the suit, just to try to watch us get up and stuff like that. They didn't know my helmet. They just saw my helmet on, but they didn't know it wasn't fastened. And so this camp nurse is a big dude, tattooed, covered guy, spears me, and my helmet went flying off. And of course, the way that the suit is, the first thing on my body to hit was the back of my head.
Oh, yeah.
Knocked me out completely, out cold. And so I'm laying there, and then I start coming to, and people are trying, I'm like, get off me, get off me. I was severely concussed.
Oh,
so they got me out
of the drink, everybody. We're talking about concussions again.
Yeah. And so they got me out of the suit, and they carried me down to the office. And so I'm sitting there, and they're all checking on me. And I'm looking at one of the other camp counselors, a girl. And this is before I was with Michelle. I started dating her the next summer, so I was single, but I was concussed. And whenever you're concussed, your brain doesn't work right. And so I'm looking at her, and it's almost like I'm drunk. It's kind of the best way to describe it. It's like I'm feeling like I'm drunk.
Yeah.
And I look at her and I go, "You are just so beautiful. We need to go out on a date."
Oh my gosh.
And then they all look at each other and they're like, "We have got to call 911 right now." And so they end up taking me to the hospital. They send the camp nurse, and I go get a CAT scan, and I get checked out and make sure I don't have like internal bleeding and all this other stuff. And so that was the biggest hospital visit that I had while at camp. But like I said, the camp nurse that took me was an idiot. He's there in the room with me as I'm waiting. We're in like this little examination room, and there's this huge tube of lube, right? So I guess they do prostate exams or whatever. So it's that.
Yeah, why was there so much lube around?
I guess this is part of it. I guess being in like this doctor's office, and he's like, "Hey, Billy, put this in your pocket for me later." And I'm so out of it. And
you're like,
so
sure, that sounds.
The dude stole a big old industrial size thing of lube while I was in the hospital.
Oh my!
Oh my God!
Or it sounds like you are the one who actually stole it.
I might have been the lube mule.
The lube mule. Oh, that's our new T-shirt.
God,
lube mule.
There you go.
Here comes a loop, mule.
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh. That's awesome.
And so, yeah, knocked out, cold, CAT scan, lube. There you go. And so there's some of the injuries happen. Injuries happen. And that's my injury career as a camp counselor.
I love it. I've heard that story before, but you didn't say anything about you being the lube mule.
That's a new insight there.
That's about on par with Beaver's anus
There
juice.
you go.
Beaver anus juice. Anyhow, if you haven't heard of that, go back to I don't know what we talked about, what episode that was. That is amazing. Oh my god. Well, thanks for sharing your real life stories.
You're welcome.
Your own true experiences, rather. I just want to finish up with a couple of Leslie stories. I said before her parents sent her all the kind of camps, but these are a few that she's talked about. Her first one says, when I was around 10 years old, I signed up for a night owl Girl Scout camp with my best friend, Kristen. We thought this 3-night camp would be so much fun that we'd be allowed to stay up super late and then sleep during the day. Boy, were we wrong. They had us staying up all night doing chores. I vividly remember being asked to clean the latrines at 1 a.m. The story is like her and her friend were both on their hands and knees next to each other in stalls. They're literally like a toothbrush scrubbing the floor. And like I remember that she was saying that they tried to talk to each other, and the people were like, "Stop talking, get back to cleaning the toilets." Anyhow, staying up all night cleaning latrines at 1 a.m., being forced to swim in the middle of the night in a pool which was ice cold, playing musical sticks in the cafeteria at like 4 a.m. It was the worst camp ever, and we hated every minute of it.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with these camps?
No, but they would be paying me some money. Come on.
Exactly. Then this other one, she references how creepy this was all the time. When I also was in elementary school, I was sent to a church camp. This was an overnight camp, and I remember when we arrived, I was assigned a room with 2 sets of bunks in it. One set of bunks was for me and my friend Josh, who went to the church with me, and we were put in a small room with a married couple. Now, I remember the middle-aged man in a wife beater walking us into the room, instantly being creeped out. Before I get to the last part here, she said, it was a married couple who slept on a bottom bunk, and we slept above them, her and her friend. Yeah. There's too many weird things about that. She's told that story how many times she was creeped out by that randomness. So anyhow, she was in there with a weird married couple. I remember the middle-aged man and wife beater, that's what I said. But she was so creeped out. She wanted to go home so bad, but they wouldn't let us use the phone. So one night, when everyone was in the basement doing Bible study, I snuck out, went into the office, called my mom, begging her to get me. That night, she showed up and rescued me and took me home. So
yeah. Oh my gosh.
There sounds like a lot of things going wrong. And
I'm just glad you didn't say the bed started shaking while they were on top. I was like, oh my god.
Well, wait till I took a drink this. I know. Those are things that went through my mind when she's telling me that story. I'm like, oh, that's so freaking weird.
No, thank you.
And the last story, she's told me this story because she used to go to band camp all summer.
Yeah.
Like she was a band nerd. But according to her, all the people in the band were really cool back then when she went to school. That's what they all say. I always give her crap for that. Anyhow, I will post a picture of her with her French horn for this episode. By the way, I have it. But she used to tell me she used to go, and I might not be right on the name because she didn't type this up, but I think it was Camp Blue Lake or Blue something. But the thing there was like your goal was to get like a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And the way
this one time at band camp?
Yeah. Oh my God, you've heard the story now. Was to have like a boyfriend or girlfriend. And the way you knew if somebody was taken, because I guess you had to wear like a name tag. If their name tag was upside down, that meant you were taken.
They off limits.
You were taken. Yeah. So basically we've turned our kids now who are older, we always harass her like, Leslie, were you some kind of like tramp at summer camp? You always talk about how many boyfriends you had there and like, how you'd switch them up and everything. So that was her. She didn't give me that permission to tell the story, but I'm telling it. There's nothing too crazy about that.
That one's not too crazy.
Yeah, but anyhow, her weird little camp she went to. She probably has more camp stories, but I sort of give me a couple quick ones. So
yeah.
But anyhow, these were super fun. I loved hearing some of your real life stories about the injuries, the craziness, wrestling of the mascots and things like that. And I'll never forget the story about the kid with the DSI.
Yep.
And taking low resolution pictures of his junk and putting it on his home screen with forest trees all around it. Oh my
Zach.
God. 12-year-old boys. Sometimes we still have 12-year-old boy brains.
Yeah.
And we're just like get caught up in nonsense. But that's just who we are. You guys know this by now.
Yep.
But this has been good. This is just another part of our summer series. I hope you guys are enjoying it. A little fun look back to summer. And as Billy said before, we want to hear about your summer stories, like your camp stories and things you did and weird things that happened to you and legendary things that happened as well. If there's anything scary or people got lost or all those things. So, but anyhow, thanks for joining us again for another amazing episode of All Day Everything podcast. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we can't wait to see you guys next time. Have a great week, everybody.
Bye, y'all.